Hey guys, Cobra here. Welcome to another Racial Legends video. So if you didn't see my video yesterday of my summons, you should go back and check. But spoiler alert, here it is. I got a Hegemon. I immediately took him to level 60, gave him some of my best gear in order to do this showcase. But this will not be just a showcase with the best damage build. I'm going to be showcasing two different builds that you can build your Hegemon on depending on what you want to do and where you want to take him. There's so many different things you can do with Hegemon just because he's so unique, has that very specific skill which no other champion has in the game. Let's just go and see what he does. So Hegemon has this fantastic passive ability where he goes first in each round. If multiple Hegemons are in the battle, the Hegemon with the highest speed will move first. So in the case that you're fighting an enemy Hegemon, be sure to have some speed on your own Hegemon. If not, then you don't care about speed on Hegemon. That's the real truth about it. He also has this A2 which has a 50% decreased attack debuff application on it, and also 50% chance of placing block active skills debuff for 2 turns. This is so important, but it's only 50% chance. You can actually take that to 55% if you do have this ability right here, Sniper. Do not mistake Sniper not affecting this one and needing Fearsome Presence. Fearsome Presence is only for sets, but also abilities which are hard crowd controls. So block active skills is not a hard crowd control, but yeah, that's it. And his A1 applies a decreased speed debuff, which is not that important. It's also a double hitting attack. If that was an AoE, it would have been so much better for Hegemon, but still he's a fantastic champion. So he's got over 2.2 thousand reviews, giving him 4.9 in offense and defense. Of course, Clan Boss, he gets a 3. I wouldn't even give him a 3. I would have given him a 1. And on Spider's Den as well, because basically his A1 is not an AoE. If his A1 was an AoE, I would have used him. I would say that he gets a 5 in all other areas in terms of if you want to have something like a Hegemon going in the first time every single turn and using his abilities, then sure. So let's go and see how I built him. So I built him with a Savage set and a cool set. 6,000 attack there, 125 speed, which is not important, 100% crit and 251 critical damage. That's a lot of critical damage. Accuracy is low on this specific build because this is considered the Nuke Hegemon build. This is the first build number 1. So Nuke Hegemon build, basically 30% ignore enemy defense, as much attack as possible, as much critical damage as possible, focusing on attack percent on the substats if possible and wherever possible, attack percent on chest, on the primary, and on the boots, critical damage on the gloves, focusing on attack, critical damage, and attack again for ring, amulet, and banner accordingly. And then masteries, we go for Helm Smasher. Helm Smasher gives you that 50% chance of ignoring 25% of the target's defense. This is very important, I would say, Helm Smasher, because Hegemon goes first on every round. There's no defense down applied before he goes, so he does need Helm Smasher, in my opinion, for his damage to be at the maximum possible, but on an RNG basis. So there's certain times that he won't actually proc this and you might not get as much damage as you can. So I did go the proper nuking strategy. So if there are any shields, Shield Breaker is going to help him take those down. Ruthless Ambush, increased damage inflicted by 8% on the first hit. I did take Single Out for in the case somebody remains and you need to nuke them down, and Bring It Down, also very important. I got Cycle of Violence because that helps rotating his A2 as often as possible. And then on the support tree, I did go for Evil Eye just because of his A1. You can reduce the determinator of the enemies that you target, and Sniper because of his A2, the block active skills. So for the block active skills, I mean, since I don't have high accuracy, I'm not really expecting his debuffs to land, but when they do land, I mean, it's cool. For a very simple change in this build, I would go for a accuracy banner, so you get another almost 100 accuracy, go to about 250. That's going to be enough in some cases, but I just wanted to have his absolute most nuking ability. So we'll go in the Nightmare campaign first, and I'll show you what he can do with this build specifically. So let's just put some food in there. Any champions are gonna work. It doesn't have to be any specific champions as food champions. So let me just put these 3 in there. gonna go in and you'll actually see that with this build he can actually farm 12-6, although not as fast as Ethos, for example. He can still farm it. So look at all that damage. Look at all that damage. The refresh set actually proc there. So this is why we're getting quite a fast run here. Okay, and now in his next turn he should have his strong A2, right? Look at that, boom. Pretty healthy. 19 seconds, farming 12-6. I'm quite happy with that, honestly, if you ask me. Even if I do have still Ethos, he can still do quite a good job in taking out the target. So here we didn't get lucky with the refresh. So he should use his A1 now, not his A2. Yeah, his A2 should be now. Right after this one. Look at that damage, 80,000. Taking out the Nightmare stage pretty confidently. But it only works on 12-6. Doesn't work on 12-3. 12-3, the enemies are quite tanky and he can't do this thing there. So you do need a lot of gear on him. But if you do have it, then you can actually build him to farm 12-6. And then let me, of course, show you where he can be used in dungeons, for example. If you want to farm those very quickly. Oh, I haven't unlocked the 20 for this one. Okay, surprising, but put Hegi in there. He's at 100% crit. He does have a Nora, which gives him crit rate, but I built him 100% crit because I'll never use him in the leader slot unless I get even more Hegis. Okay, then we reach the boss. This boss is so annoying just because of that big shield. And the nuking just helps you take down these waves so fast, especially wave 1. Then look at that, 100,000. And now the big shield is up again. So we're just waiting for, honestly, my Venus to get a turn and remove that big shield. But look at that, boom. And how much damage did he do here? 454,000 compared to everybody else. So definitely a solid nuking champion to clearing out the wave. So look at wave 1 now. Without a defense down, remember that. So his A1 now is going to be the weaker version because it's a double hitting only instead of an AoE. There we go. Should have his A1 there. Look at that decrease in turn meter. That helped. But remember, he's very slow, so he won't be taking a ton of turns. Look at that, 114,000. I do like this build on Hegemon, but that's not the final build which I'll be building him on. Next up, in terms of dungeons, unfortunately Hegemon is not that great in terms of all the other dungeons. You can still use him if you're going in with the nuking build. So let's say Dragon's Lair, you want something that nukes the waves quite fast. You don't have a seer. I mean, you could definitely use Hegemon, but because of the longer cooldown on his A3, he won't be as ideal as other champions which provide a nuke. So he does provide the nuke immediately when he goes in without the defense down, without the weekend. So I wouldn't go with Hegemon instead of anybody else. So here he does an A2 targeting skill. His multiplier is not that high, even with Battle Khazar in there, even with a defense down weekend. So I wouldn't say he is preferred to any other champions for dungeons for clearing waves. If you don't have anything else, then you can still use your Hegemon, which is damage based build on, and clear through the waves. But I wouldn't go with Hegemon as my sole nuker, maybe for very specific cases, but honestly this build is ideally for arena. So let's go in the arena and I'll show you what Hegemon can do in a nuking build. So let's go in there. This team, it's like a standard team you'll find in gold for arena. So you can actually put in Hegemon in there, and depending on what your plan is, so if you're planning to really go for the win with Hegemon, you can actually put somebody else in there that can provide an attack up buff. So let's say you've got a Cadraphon, you can use a Cadraphon in there for the lead. So Hegemon will benefit from that, and then you gotta have something else in the case that not everybody dies from the nuke. But remember, you need a ton of gear for this to work in terms of one single Hegemon nuking the enemy team. So here he gets immediately his turn. He goes in there. Boom, look at that. Immediately clear the enemies. You don't have to worry about your other champions. It's basically the cleanup crew that goes in. So some cases, let me find a very tanky team. So I mean, this tournament team is not tanky, but I mean, tournament will survive. So there's a shield on everybody. That's why I need shield breaker on Hegemon. Remember, this is a total endgame build. See, everybody is not even close to dying. So we do buff up here, and hopefully we get somebody dead here, so we can actually clean up. But this is not an ideal situation. Just have everybody die after Hegemon goes is what is the ideal situation. If everybody survives, then it means your Hegemon needs more damage, and if you don't have the gear, you better go with the second build on Hegemon, which I'll show you guys in a bit, which I think it's better in some of the cases, and depending on where you want to use him. If you're going to be using Hegemon mostly on defense, then the second build will be most ideal. So let me find a total tanky team where Hegemon will do nothing, and you better not be attacking with Hegemon using that build. So let's say you find this specific team right here, or any team that you might think there's going to be a shield set somewhere around. So this team, I don't think there's going to be a shield set specifically, but these three champions are so tanky. This team in general is so tanky. There's no chance my Hegemon can take them down unless the guy who built this team has them built totally wrong. So look at all those shields. Hegemon will do nothing here. Hegemon will absolutely do nothing here, and you'll see even with the Savage set, the cool set, he won't just pass through them. Barely went through the shields, and that's nothing. If you can't go through the shields, it's nothing. Pretty much the fight is over if you can't go through the shields, and Hegemon loses his advantage of being in a nuke set. But yeah, this run is gonna go forever if I keep on with this gear. So this is the build. This is the first build with the Savage set, the cool set. It definitely has its uses. I like the nuking ability of it, so you can definitely use this if you just really want to see the enemy teams die with a single hit. So this team definitely does not have a shield set on. So Hegi goes, boom, look at that. The only reason she survived is because of her passive. If she didn't have that annoying passive, then we would be seeing a totally different picture right here. So she's gonna nuke because she is extremely annoying. Boom, and she dies. So skull crowns, yeah, you're always gonna have that issue with skull crowns with any nuker. So look at this. This is exactly why I like Hegemon. He couldn't beat that arbiter, which means the tanky arbiter, not just the fast arbiter. So we definitely needed to have some extra support on him. So if you really want to build a Hegemon, you better have the gear to back it up in terms of taking down the enemies with at least only Hegemon. So there's the block active skills. That's what I want to see in most cases, so that I can actually control the enemy arbiter. But with 150 accuracy that I have him currently built, you can't really depend on that landing and staying on arbiter. So let me show you guys the second build for Hegemon, which is going to be the crowd control Hegemon build. Both damage and crowd control, both of them work for Hegemon, but it's a totally different build in terms of how you built it, because it's very specific in what you want to do to the enemy team. So now for build number 2 on Hegemon, this is the stun control build. There's some leeway that you can go with this build. This is not specific to a stun set. You can go provoke set if you want to. You can go sleep set, depending on what other champions you've got and how you want to set up your team. But a stun set is ideal for other uses for Hegemon as well. So how this build works is you will have Hegemon on defense in your arena team, or on offense, depending on what you want to do when he goes first and attacks. The reason I have speed on this Hegemon is, first of all, it's totally different than the one before. There's no damage on this Hegemon. Lots of speed, as much as I could give him with the gear that I have on him. So 238 speed. The attack is okay, but I wasn't really trying to get any attack on the Hegemon. I would have honestly removed the ring as well, the attack ring as well, and put in an HP ring instead in there. So he does have some high HP and some defense, but not too crazy. Critical rate 21%, 100% critical damage. Try to get as as few points in there as possible so he doesn't damage the enemies, and I'll explain why in a bit. And accuracy 387. If you can get this even higher, then that's great. A perception set works great, and this instead of the speed set, but my speed gear is quite fast here. So this weapon and this boot right here is fast with some accuracy in there. So I went with those instead. But a perception would work as well. Would take me closer to 420 or something accuracy. So his accuracy is high, 387, but not high enough to even stun enemies like a Duchess, for example. But you're not trying to stun a Duchess with 600 resistance. You're trying to stun the damage dealer. You're trying to stun anybody who doesn't have very high resist. Even against resist teams who might have close to 300 resistance, the amount of accuracy will work. But it really depends on how the enemies are built and what kind of enemies you're facing, because some of them have very high base resistance as well. So I did go for defense on the gloves. I went for accuracy on the chest. I couldn't find a better accuracy chest, honestly. Speed on the boots. That's why I have these specific stats. And of course, when accuracy substat on the amulet, the best one I had, and then accuracy on the banner, the best one I had as well, which gave me some speed. The reason you want speed, even though he gets the turn first, is because you want him to get as many turns as possible. And in the case you find an enemy Hegemon against you, the enemy Hegemon, if that's a damaging Hegemon, then you'll be stunning him or trying to stun him in most of the cases, because you'll be going first since of the specific wording of his passive, which if multiple Hegemons are in the battle, then the Hegemon with the highest speed will move first. So ideally your Hegemon will be the fastest one and you'll be going first. So masteries total changed to the masteries. No Helm Smasher anymore. I went for full defense route, went all the way to Fearsome Presence, another 5% chance to stun using that stun set. So 23% chance now instead of 18%. And of course, getting masteries like Cycle of Revenge helps him gain more turns. If he gains more turns, means more chances to attack and apply more debuffs. The same thing for the support tree. I went Lore of Steel to get that extra bit of speed from the speed set, and Evil Eye because it helps in terms of control, and of course Sniper because it helps with the block active skills debuff that he applies. So let's go and test this build out and see the difference that it does in terms of utility, let's say in dungeons first. So of course you're gonna have the difficult dungeons here. So this was my battle sister that I did make a video. If you guys want to check that out, it will go in there. So you're gonna see the control that he can provide in the case you don't have something for control. So look at that, we got 3 stuns on the enemies. I've got 3 block active skills and decrease attack on all the enemies. That's what you want to see in terms of controlling enemies. Just by the decrease attack, it's enough for you to actually survive a few hits. If you just have Hegemon, then you can build him this way for basically helping you out surviving a little bit longer, because you won't have all these roster of champions. You might have just Hegemon, you just got lucky. So building him this way might be the most beneficial for a brand new account in terms of crowd control, decrease attack, block active skills, getting as many turns as possible, being tanky so you're not a one shot away from just dying. So look at all those debuffs, and all those will benefit your team in surviving and going through content as well as, you know, in arena. So it's not just for high-end arena. And let's just go and showcase this in arena and how it actually works for against some specific team. So I have no idea what this Hegemon has and if he's an attack Hegemon or anything. So I'll use my normal build, which is gonna be Arbiter there in the lead, Hegemon there for the stuns. I'm gonna have I'm not gonna have my speed booster here. I'm just gonna have my Trunda for damage and Madame Ceres in the case that I need to remove any defenses or any buffs from the enemy. So here, let's see whose Hegi is the fastest. So my Hegi is the fastest. Ideally here, I'll stun the enemy Hegi. So the reason that I don't have damage plus the stun set on this build is because of specific masteries on, let's say, Arbiter. So Arbiter, if she has the specific mastery in the accuracy tree, which gives her turn meter when an ally drops by a significant amount of health, then there's a possibility that the enemy Arbiter will cut in first and actually manage to get a turn before you, even if you are faster on paper. But just because of Hegemon attacking and she's got that mastery, then the ton of damage that you have on your Hegemon is not going to be beneficial. So you try and get as few points of attack, critical rate, critical damage on your Hegemon as possible. Get him with that stun set, get him accuracy. That's what you need. So let's go and see what happens if we can actually stun this guy here, because he'll be going for my team, because he might be a stun Hegi. His turn meter is full because he's going to go right after me. And the enemy arbiter is not all that full, but mine is a bit fuller than her, which means I'll go first if I'm not block active skills. If I don't have the block active skills on my own arbiter. So let's see. Look at that. We get a stun on the enemy Hegi. That's what I wanted to see. Basically negating, stopping the enemy Hegi from doing what he was gonna do. Block active skills on Madame Ceres. And now we go with the Chanda. Clear it out. So if I was fighting this team with my normal champions, I would have been very careful, because if this Hegi is built with a ton of damage, then my team wouldn't have survived. I would have need to put a Krisk in there, maybe a Seeker, just so I can survive that barrage of attack. So let's fight against this team. This is a more tanky team with probably a shield set on this guy. Yeah, shield set, no immunity sets. So immunity sets are also something that enemy teams start to have in order to combat these Hegemons with the crowd control sets. So you won't know until you get in there if they're gonna have an immunity set or not. So let's go. We have a block active skills on almost everybody. Torment doesn't have it, but I go next, get my turn. This Madame Ceres removing all the shields, and then my Tranda just to clean up. And I'll just press auto for the rest of the fight. Hegi is gonna go again with his A1. He did put just a decreased speed. There's a stun again. There's also the leech application from his masteries. So another great build where you can use your Hegemon to actually, gain the advantage that you're looking for. Let me just do a refresh. Let me find some more difficult teams. I swear these teams are easier than the ones I find in Gold 2 on my free-to-play. I swear. Some of these teams look easier at least. So I find 230,000 power teams on my free-to-play account. So Hegi goes. So look at the damage that he did. Very minimal damage. No stun set procs, but the block active skills on this damage dealer is important. The decreased attack on this damage dealer is important. So overall, it definitely helps. Although I was gonna be faster anyway. I mean, my arbiter is quite fast. So here we get attacked. Look at that. Just because of that decreased attack, I managed to survive with my Tranda. She takes a turn and boom, destroy them. So this team is not speed tuned. So my Madame Ceres is very low speed compared to the arbiter. So let me do another refresh. Okay, this is a more difficult team. I expect an immunity set 1 or 2 on these. Whoa, 0? Not even a shield set? Okay. Look at that. Block active skills, a stun on Skull Crown. Exactly what I want to see. We even get frozen there, but I don't care. Let's apply the defense down, and we're ready to burst them. Good night. Move that. Hegi goes. Cleans up. And this is how you build a crowd control Hegi. As I said, I would ideally just remove that attack ring from him, because that's just an additional damage. So let's just go back into the character build screen, and I'll show you like the ring that I would have used instead. So instead of this attack ring with attack percent, I would have used, ideally, if I do have one, should I put this one? I mean, this is a good set. This is a brand new set that gives the shield right after you attack, but this one, the refresh ring, I want to have the refresh, so I'll use this one as a defense primary. So I'll lose 400 attack, but remember, you don't need the attack. And this can even stay on level 12. So this was the video, guys. What do you think of Hegemon? Do you have Hegemon? Do you build him differently? Do you build him with the crowd control set or the damage set? Which one do you prefer? Honestly, personally, I like the nuking ability of a Hegemon, just going in first with like proper damage and just cleaning them out without letting them even get a single turn. I like the idea, but it doesn't work for what I want to do in arena, in high-end arena at least. The stun set Hegi is what you're probably going to be using. The nuke Hegi has gone out of favor, and especially with those brand new accessories. These accessories called the reaction accessories. 25% chance to change a critical hit into a normal hit when attacked before first turn. So that's always going to be the case when Hegi attacks. If that procs, your Hegi did nothing. He is just a dead champion in terms of utility to the whole team. If that procs, he doesn't do a crit, he'll do like 5,000 damage on the enemy arbiter. Let's say this was the enemy arbiter because of the reaction. So all this change in the meta will take that savage set Hegemon out of use for most. But depending on what you want to do, if you're just trying to get into gold 4, then maybe the new Hegi with some accuracy can still work instead of the stun set Hegi. So this was the video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. This was a much longer video than before because I was showcasing 2 builds for Hegi and how both work in high-end situations and in many of the areas of the game. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!